10 seconds, 5 seconds. Luke will do the song. No, I'm
The
just kidding.
robot and the bear. Robot and the bear. And I guess we're good.
Hasn't gone on yet.
Really? You know what? I have a feeling all this stuff like ends up in the. Do you ever watch like the beginnings of the streams, Eric?
No, what happened?
Neither do I. So I have no idea like when it actually clicks on.
Yeah.
It's probably been like, all of this is being broadcasted like right now. It's just there's that lag.
Yeah.
So
It looks like we're on now.
okay, okay.
I think. So hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. The song usually comes around when I'm like with people, and it's because I'm so excited to actually be in the presence of human beings that I'm inspired to sing. And and the Zoom just doesn't like, bring the song out of me. Sorry.
Damn. I only came
Yeah.
here for a song.
Oh, we are live now for
You know
sure.
what? Yeah. Welcome to Robot and the Bear podcast number 55.
So we're starting over. Sorry, 55.
Mhm.
That was once
I'm
the
Luke.
speed limit, right?
That was
speed
once the
limit?
speed limit,
Yeah.
but cars have gotten better, I guess.
So wait, I wonder at what age. Sorry, this is totally out of the. At what age does a person like? Would a kid be like, "No, it was never 55"? Like they don't even know it to be 55. Has it been that long?
Probably millennials.
Right? They're like, "What? It was once 55?"
Yeah, like unreal.
Yeah.
When was it 55?
It was 55 in the 80s and into the early 90s.
Was it? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I remember 55 like throughout college. I when I would drive between school and my parents' place.
Wow. Okay.
5 miles
Anyway,
per hour.
so there we go. We are That's how we're celebrating episode 55.
Yes, we're talking. Let's talk about
the speed limit.
We're talking about speed limits.
Yep.
So we're joined by Leroy Myers.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yep. Of Wood Rock.
Of Wood Rocket, and he's straight out of Vegas, right? Am I wrong there?
Well, right now I am. Yes, I travel around a lot, and
Awesome.
I've lived in a lot of places, but right now Vegas.
Vegas, and today you just said it's 110 degrees.
Out that, yeah. I went outside once, made that mistake to feed a pigeon that landed in my backyard. I gave it some water,
That poor pigeon.
I had to share the drinking bowl with it because it was hot. So it was, he didn't like it. I mean, I assume it's a he. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a place for anybody not made of ice, but I guess you'd melt. But it's not a good place.
Yeah. It's not where Luke, you would suffer, I guess, in Vegas.
Oh, I would never even entertain the idea of living intentionally in Vegas. It's 7 degrees here in beautiful Southern California, and I'm sweating. Like I don't like.
I lived in the valley though before this. I lived in LA in the valley, and it's basically the same temperature. So it just felt like home without traffic when I moved out here. So
wow,
it made more sense, and I actually do like it here. I just don't like going out in the summer out here.
So you went from the valley to Vegas. So I think anyone could surmise you're in the adult film industry.
Yes, that's very good. Yes. Pretty much that's what it says on it's a road map on my business card.
So wait, were you in, is it Chatsworth? Isn't that famous
where
for being?
It was, yeah. I lived in Woodland Hills. I was right near there. 10 minutes to the studios that were there. Of course, there were a couple outside, like Vivid's right off the highway, and a few more that were downtown. But yes, Porn Valley, mostly Chatsworth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it in the industry, Porn Valley?
I think they did. I think it was a pretty well-known nickname at the time. I don't think it's been Porn Valley, even though there's still some studios there. It hasn't been that since I think Tube Sites took them over. So probably.
Wait, what's a Tube Site?
Like a Pornhub or a YouPorn, or
right, like all these free streaming sites,
like the porn version of YouTube.
Right.
So yeah, so since they took over, and even membership sites before that a bit. So probably the last time I would think that people really felt like it was Porn Valley was like 2010, 2009, 2008, at least a decade ago.
Wow.
Was there a
I'm
big
like,
exodus?
isn't it still there? I'm like, I guess it's not there anymore.
Pops on is VHS porn, and yeah,
Wow.
it's been a while.
So
Wait,
it's gone. So it's gone.
Was
Is
there
it
an
gone from
exodus
the
from
valley?
that area, or
Yeah, there was an exodus. I mean, there were a couple exoduses, I don't know. But the first one was when California really went for that condom mandate. There was a big one, and then I think they tried again, and then there's so many different little things. But to be honest, California was needed when people needed studios. Then people were able to do it on their own. They anywhere in the world, really. They could cam, they could do clips, they can shoot, open up a studio anywhere.
So that's like, that was just the advent of all the just cheap digital ways to do it all digitally, right? Using what it was SLRs with digital. Now it's just what iPhones with digital. Just
yeah,
using
you
an
can
iPhone.
do anything. I think a lot of people, because the cam model community is so big, I think there's probably still people that just use a webcam to shoot.
Wow.
It's kind of all over the place depending on the budget, but yeah, you could shoot it on your phone, you could shoot it on your iPad, you could shoot it on your SLR, which I would think most people do when they're shooting stuff, but just because they're pretty cheap,
Mhm.
But yeah, it people left for so many reasons, but the industry's probably been in chaos ever since. So it's pretty crazy. It's Wild West out there.
Yeah, I
Wow.
remember actually you invited me to the AVNs a couple
Yeah,
years back, and
and you
like,
refused it because you hate porn. I'm just kidding. Sorry, he came. He was there. He was
no, 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 no. People who listen to this podcast know me well enough to know that I will take any opportunity that might be entertaining, that comes our way. And I attended, and
Yes.
it was like gigantic rooms dedicated to Pornhub, hallways dedicated to my free cams, and then like, big ass rooms dedicated to like sex toys.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a fraction of the size of what it used to be.
Oh,
You
really?
know,
We're talking about what is it? The adult. What is it called? I don't even remember what it's called.
AVN, Adult Video Media.
I went one time. So that used to be connected to CES.
Right. So
Right?
in the
So,
beginning,
yeah.
it was around the same time as first it was connected to CES, then it was just at the same time as CES, and then they played Follow the Leader a bit, and one would be here, one there, and they both saw attendance fall a bit when neither was next to each other. And then again, I think it just kind of, as it moved further away from where CES is, so it hit the Hard Rock casino, it became less reliant on that, and vice versa. So it's one of those things. But CES does allow some sex toys now, so we may be going back in time, and it may be connected again. Who knows?
What's CES?
The
Consumer electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
really?
yeah.
So like when Sony would have a booth and you would have like executives with, the little CES tag, just like a Comic-Con press, a badge, you could walk into the adult part of it, which I went once and it was right next door. So it wasn't connected like in the same room, but you would go out and then just go right in. And I think they would let you in with the CES badge.
At a certain point, and then they stopped
Yeah.
doing that. I don't know if you went while it was at the Venetian, maybe. I can't remember.
don't-
The Sands Expo.
I just remember wherever CES was, it was like right next to it. You didn't, walking was like, I don't know. I felt like it was right next door, but you go inside and it felt like, I was like, this is just like CES. There were so many people with a CES badge in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, like everything else in porn, it just kind of disappears. It is I wish I could explain. I can't even define what the porn industry is anymore. Really, it's and COVID took care of whatever crumbs
All right.
were still kind
Before
of
we
there.
before we get there, how did you get into this?
It's a very long story, so I'll give you the short
Oh,
version.
what
Which
did you start when it was film?
no, no.
Okay.
I started in mainstream when that was film, and I mean, I always grew up kind of on the border. I loved like trauma growing up and like B movies and exploitation flicks. I never thought I would get into porn. It was never my intention to get in porn. I wasn't even a huge porn viewer. Um, I like the classics when they were on, cable in Canada. I'm from Canada, but basically, I I got into it through softcore. I had some websites, and then I needed a job, and I got a job offer from Hustler TV in Canada, and I worked there. Um, After film school, after working with mainstream comedians and then working in TV, I was a TV executive at one point in Canada.
Wow.
Um, so I did acquisitions, I did programming, um, but things just work out. I worked with a lot of adult guys, basically buying for pay per view, and but I had production way before that, and writing and directing indie stuff, stand up comedy things like that, and it just kind of evolved. I became friends with some of them, including Scott, who owns New Sensations, which was a studio that did a lot of Gonzo and some features. And basically,
What's Gonzo?
Yeah, I was just ask.
What is that?
Gonzo is like, I think, what in the early 2000s, maybe even the 90s, was like the majority of porn. You don't need a lot of storyline, a lot of like looking at the camera. It's okay to say that it's there. The girl may do a strip tease, or somebody may do a strip tease, and then it kind of goes into quick intro and then into sex.
Oh, so there's no story.
Not really. No,
Oh.
no. So, and that was like the majority of stuff in the early 2000s. It was a lot of that, and but because of that, a lot of it kind of seemed repetitive and things like that. A couple people did parodies. So there was a Brady Bunch parody, and there was Nail and Palin, and basically I was asked if I could write a script. And so I wrote a script for New Sensations. They wanted a comedy about a porn office. So an office in Chatsworth, and I wrote it. It was okay. And then we talked and we figured, well, why don't we do The Office had just come on in America, probably second season, first season. And I watched the British version, and then I watched some of it, and I'm like, we could do a parody of it. It'd be the first porn with awkward pauses that, we're intentional. And so I wrote The Office, a XXX parody. And 6 months later, I had seen him, and they still hadn't done it. And I had left my TV gig, and basically asked me if I wanted to direct it. And I had to think about it, because I didn't really have an urge to direct porn. It wasn't my thing. I liked writing scripts, but I said okay. And so I did it. I shot it in December of 2008. And I basically shot it, released it, didn't really hear much from anybody. I wrote a few more scripts and shopped them around to other studios, and nobody was interested. Not one studio said yes. But then a funny thing happened. The Office, a XXX parody, became one of the best sellers of that year, and it killed, and people saw it, and mainstream media picked it up, and then I was offered more movies to direct. So I directed a ton for them, and then I left there and I did a ton for a bunch of other studios, and then I started Wood Rocket with my friends, and here we are. We've done a lot of probably directed. I mean, I don't know how many parodies, probably about 150 parodies, and then probably 1,000 or a couple thousand scenes. I'm not sure. I haven't done the math, but porn scenes. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels
That
like
was
a
a
lot.
short version of the story, by the way. So.
Yeah. Well, but do you edit them also? Because if you're the filmmaker, you're the director, you're probably not operating a camera. But
sometimes I operate the camera. So in the beginning, I wouldn't touch a camera, and then I realized how boring it is during a sex scene, because you don't really need to tell people that have had sex in a sex scene a million times when there's really only 5 or 6 positions they can do and open up for the camera, so that the camera can capture it. So I got really bored, and then I started running second camera. But sometimes I edit. It really depends. I would say I've edited probably about 60% of what I do. My wife's done a lot of them. My wife's a much better editor than me. And even if I edit it, my wife cleans up the editing. She's like a master of effects and titles and graphics. But yeah, I rarely have I ever had anybody else edit it. I like the editing. I really enjoy editing these things.
All right, so I guess since you're on Robot and the Bear, I mean, is this is this an art form to you, or is this like
porn?
Or
Robot and the Bear?
No, what you do.
What you do. Yeah. No, I'm just wondering how picky you are.
I mean, Robot and the Bear, art. What I do, no. I mean, maybe there's some people a lot of people I know. There's been this debate in porn because there was this European director who would go around going, what we do is art and it's magical, and it made me want to puke, to be honest. I do what I do. I don't know that it's been called art, but probably by crazy people. I just I don't think of it as art at all. I can't see the art in it. It's almost like hardcore sketch comedy. Is that that's the way I've always kind of pictured it. I'm like, if I was doing SNL, it would have more tits and ass and penetration. I don't know if I can I curse? I don't even know if I can.
Yeah,
sure.
All right. Fuck yeah. All right. So yeah, I think the sex makes it weirder and funnier and edgier, but not more of an art form. Again, people will disagree with me, and they're welcome to. What I do is not art.
Every time I see a frame or a trailer or anything that you've produced, it instantly inspires an emotional response. Like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck am I looking at? And
this is my favorite response, by the way. That's the response I love.
And like, I think things that elicit, like creations, like we're talking about, like, something that is created by human beings that can elicit that kind of an emotional response, like starts like like tinkering with something close to artistic. It may not be like, oh, it's beautiful, which I think most people want to believe art should be, but like but but I think that like there's something like but shock art is still art, right?
Yeah, but it's a weird one, like, can you define everything that's created as art? I think is what it comes down to. If you're gonna say, is all entertainment art? Is all, I think it's a weird, I don't want to get into the philosophy, but what is art is what it comes down to. And it's a hard one to really, to get there. I don't know. I wouldn't define it as art. And I think I'm not offended if somebody defines it as art, but I love art. And so it's that part offends me a little bit, where like I wouldn't, I wouldn't rank what I do up there with what you do, or with, the gallery, and that, it's it's more entertainment than art, even if
Mm.
it's reaction. It's more jackass than, um, you know, I can't think of then I can't think of an amazing show that, it's just one of those things. I don't know, just because we made it and it gets some sort of reception and it evokes emotion.
Mm.
Um, is everything uh that provocates something, does that make it art if it's created? I don't know.
I
I
think
don't
some
I
people would argue that it is, and it does, and some people would argue that it doesn't. And I don't think that there is like, like are movies art or are they just entertainment?
Right.
Yeah.
And some people's are art and some are entertainment, I believe. But yeah, I don't know what the line is.
So I was. Are you a filmmaker? Would you consider yourself that? Would you say, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker"?
Nah, no,
No
I
way.
wouldn't. No.
Okay.
I don't even know what I define myself as exactly. I really don't. I don't know what it is. I can say, look, I'm a pornographer, but I don't really think of myself as a pornographer. Um, because I'm not aiming, again, and definitions, right? I'm not aiming for everybody to get off to my stuff. I don't really care if they do or they don't. I hope they do or I hope they don't. I don't care as long as people watch it. Um, I make what I make, and I don't know why I make it exactly. For laughs is one thing. I mean, I don't try to shoot a shitty sex scene, so I guess I hope people do get off to it. Um, but it almost doesn't. It doesn't matter to me. The angrier people get with my stuff, the funnier I find it. And yet I still want some people to like it. So I don't know. I don't know what it is I do. I don't know what reception I'm looking for. Is it art? I don't. It's really weird for me to even think of it. When I
Mhm.
put somebody, when I spray somebody yellow and put them in a Simpsons costume and make a live action Simpsons parody, it's weird to me to even think.
That
I
sounds
walk on a
amazing,
set.
right?
Well, we
That's
did it,
amazing.
and I'll walk on a set, and even I'll say to everybody, I'll be like, "Did you see this shit? This is surreal. Like, this is crazy." Um, it's almost like I'm doing what I would do at 18 as like my dream job. Um, Obviously, you do it enough, it gets repetitive, but I love like doing this, and I don't know what it is. I can't call it work. I can't call it art. I can't call it entertainment. I think I'm fucked if I want to define it. I don't know
Okay.
what it
Don't
is.
bother.
Yeah, I the great thing
Yeah.
is if I tell somebody, "Hey, I made the Strokemon porn," most people have seen it or at least seen a photo of it or a meme based on it, and they go, "Oh, you're crazy." And if that's the way they define me, I'll take it. I'm not an artist. I'm crazy.
So in the adult industry, would you consider yourself an insider or are you kind of an outsider?
Both. I think Wood Rocket feels to me like an island. It's always kind of felt like an island. I've felt even when I first started in porn and the opportunities to party and do the porn lifestyle were there. I always went home and hung out with my crew and we'd barbecue in the valley and stay away from most other people. I like other people. I just not a people person and I'm not a drug person and I barely drink. Um I just we've always kind of both been an island. Um but I've been in it long enough at this point that I guess I'm an insider. I know what's going on. I've been a part of, I think, seeing the politics of it and all the issues that have come up. And to be honest, there's nothing holding the community together really anymore when there's an issue. So during COVID, and people don't know what to do, and they're even just looking for a person to talk to that understands them or is willing to listen. I've been there. I like it. I believe, and when assaults happen in the industry, because you can't guard the gate. People do get in that are in it to touch people. and to hurt people because they think it's fun. I'm there to try and stop it. You know, I consider sex workers in the industry my friends. You know, I want to make sure everybody's okay. I also, as a business owner in the community, um, you know, you have to be responsible. You have to help, you know, the rest of the industry. So on that aspect, I've been forced into being an insider. But will I ever be in the AVN Hall of Fame? Um, Probably not. I mean, they've let people in that I go, what? But but at the same
Yeah.
time,
Mhm.
I just over the last bit, I opened my mouth. I don't like people, you know, helping preserve tradition in an industry that does have assaults and does have um you know, a lot of things that racism, all sorts of things that, you know, need to be changed. And you know, so I don't know if I'm an insider because I don't agree with how a lot of the insiders keep shittiness going. um
Wow.
but I consider myself an
That's the stuff you
insider.
see in movies, I guess, right?
Yeah, and it's not all like that, but that's the stuff where if you
That's
see it every day, right?
I mean, you know, like the depiction of it is sleazy and drugs and
Right, right.
I don't
And
know. I don't know if it's that's the old version of it. You know, that's sort
right.
of like the Boogie Nights version. The new version to me would be kind of scary. I don't even want to think of what it's like.
It's actually
The
probably healthier now as
Really okay.
because there was a time I think people, you know, old schoolers really, you know, people in the early 2000s, early
That's old school.
well for now it is. People move they turn around fast. In the 90s, in the 80s, anybody I've met, they tell me different stories. Um Here's the thing, for every 100 people doing it right, one person doing it wrong is going to make the industry look like shit. Um, but at the same time, if the industry allows that one person to continue to do that, um, then the industry should look like shit. You know,
Mm.
so I don't like looking like shit. I've worked hard to be professional and enjoy my work at the same time. Um, I can go I can show my face in public at any adult industry thing and not regret something I've done, except maybe like yell at somebody or, you know, but everybody in the industry should be like that, right? And it's like the art industry. It's like, you know, if there's one gallery owner that's terrible, you know, it's not going to that it won't destroy the industry, but it does kind of shine a light on everybody.
Well,
Um,
it messes it up for people who maybe for the first time going to an art show attend a shitty like show. It's going to make them like this. It's going to discourage people from wanting to go out and explore other, things.
exactly.
I guess it's somewhat similar, but it's on a very microcosmic kind of like.
So imagine if art was an exploitation industry. It was imagine if art
It
drove
isn't.
well, okay, on a different level. How about that? Um, if it was bodies, if it was the things that sell newspapers, the things that sell magazines, the thing that gets clicks, right? So you put an article about porn, about this guy did this or this person did that, or porn's bad. It's going to get a lot more notice. And then everybody, because nobody has an inside into porn. It's not like it's out. The insides are not they're not showing to everybody, um you know, as far as the industry goes. So it's reflective, it's reflected onto the industry. So we can't get away with anything, but you know, it's an industry that's an exploitation industry, so people expect it, and it's this weird catch 22 where if something happens, it's um, you know, if something happens, it's just it's seen everywhere, and
So are you
everybody assumes it's everybody.
Are you referring to Ron Jeremy in any way? Because I just saw it on the news. Is it yesterday or today? Just it
Oh, I
was
don't know what happened yesterday or today, but I know he's one of the ones that has
oh
come out in the
he's
last
getting
bit.
in he's getting in trouble. I don't know what is it, court case against him, rape, 20 years of abuse, and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. I was like, that guy was almost a house. Well, he is a household name enough
Yeah.
where they could just say Ron Jeremy. They don't even need to say adult star.
Right. And you can
You know,
watch
he's
like
but
documentaries with him and, you know, video footage of him. And it looks like I'm not, you know, again, I can think of a documentary where it just seems he's a touchy feely guy. And, you know, what could he get away with for so long? But part of that's on the industry for sure, you know, allowing people to get away with things like that. Um, you know, if he's had a reputation for years of not being a great person or being or touching people or assaulting people or raping people, um, it's not like quiet in the industry that there are people that have been saying it for years that he touched me and I didn't condone it. I didn't, there was no consent. There are things like that that have been said, but the industry hasn't stopped it, you know? So part of me is glad the industry is where it is, where there's people living in Minnesota now shooting porn, and there's people in here, and they don't have to rely on a studio because, to be honest, maybe it's karma, you know, that a lot of studios are getting shut down, you know, that people are pirating more than they're paying for things like that. That doesn't help people working at home in Minnesota because if you're pirating this, you're probably pirating that too. And they can't make a living doing one of the most watched entertainment forms in the world, right? But yeah, it's kind of like I said, the Wild West.
wow.
It's
I would think by now it would have funneled into something really refined, but it's weird to hearing that it's actually the Wild West now.
It should have, and it sort
Yeah.
of did in the early 2000s and late 90s. Business people took things over, right? And business people started things up. The problem is, um, sometimes business people do bad things also, and sometimes they let people get away with shit. I mean, again, we're seeing it in every industry. Me Too is, I don't see it as, you know, anything but helpful for industries like ours where, you know, sex workers aren't treated like human a lot of times. They're not respected. If they get raped or assaulted or abused, people are like, well, they're sex workers.
That's part of the job, right?
Right,
That's kind of what
right.
they would say.
And that's the thing, because the outside world thinks of it that way. Some of the people on the inside, you know, had thought about it that way too. And I
Wow.
think that's how we get people like Ron Jeremy situations and the other situations that are that have happened, right? Um, and it's a shame because there are a lot of very good people in the industry. I loved the industry. Right now, I'm not so happy with it because Ron Jeremy happens and then everything else gets ignored. You know,
Dumb
Black
money.
Lives Matter happens, and we focus on racism in the industry, and then, like the rest of our industry, we're an exploitation industry, so we watch for trends. So as soon as that trend dies down a bit, people kind of ignore it and move on.
Right.
It's a weird place. So I don't mind. That's where the island part comes in. I can run a respectable business in porn, and I can be proud of what we do. Um, well, we make Strokemon. I can only be so proud, but it's you know, it's one of those things where I can watch what we do and I can make sure everybody on my team does the right things and treats people right.
So back to that AVN award. I think the way you said you'll never win one. Maybe you'll get that lifetime achievement
No,
one.
that's what I meant.
That's
So I've won a bunch of
maybe
AVN awards,
oh, you have.
but
Okay.
but I've never the Hall of
Hall of-
Fame.
Oh, you might get
um,
that one day, but you're going to be really old. Like, you're going to be like, he did a good job for 45 years.
You know, I
They'll give
don't.
it to you then.
I'm gonna be honest, and I've said this. Part of me would like one, but part of me would reject it. I don't think I'd want it really. I do my own thing. I don't need an award as a pat on the back. I used to. my ego was fragile enough that I used to need people to go, hey, I love this, and you deserve that, and you're the best at this. And everything has its stuff with it. It's got baggage. It's got, so there's ones that I prefer to win that I'm happy about. But the fact that I'm surviving, I'm paying my bills, I'm making this stuff I want to make, I work with people I like. To be honest, I work with Pornhub right now. We do a lot of stuff with Pornhub, and they're the easiest people I've worked with in porn. They've been great. Um, it's one of those things where I'm in a happy spot. Even during COVID, I'm in a happy spot with my company. I'm still doing, we've evolved, but I'm still doing the things that I want to do. Yeah, I don't need the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Is there an artist Hall of Fame?
No, not in our industry. But
if there was, though, do you need
I guess
it?
Getting into a museum, like a real serious museum, that's kind of a Hall of Fame, right? If the MoCA New York or MoMA, whatever,
right?
Yeah, like
maybe
permanent
did that. That's
collections or something like that. That's
okay, so I'll give you a perfect example for that. There's there's 15 award ceremonies for porn. Let's say AVN being the biggest. Maybe Pornhub, they came after that, but they're probably the biggest now. But AVN, because it's that classic name, it's like Playboy. It's they do it every year, and they give out like 1,000 awards. And everybody's going to be, when we put up stuff, we're nominated like 30 to 60 awards, like
wow.
It's, you win a couple and it's nice to win them, but it's not necessary. There's so many people that do good stuff and do interesting things. And there are people that are so overlooked in our industry, and there's some like, okay, I did a bunch of porn musicals and I was really happy to win like a soundtrack award, like that was fun, but it's still a novelty. Like, I don't need it. My crew was happy. The guy that did music was happy. Because of what we do and the craziness, to win the most outrageous sex scene. Yeah, that's fun. We won that for a puppet porn we did. But I also know there's years where we do the craziest shit ever and it doesn't win it. So how can I think, I need it to survive? Like, fuck it. I'm happy. If I never win another porn award, totally cool. I don't give a shit. If I get to make Strokemon 2, that's my award. That's it. That's, yeah. I just.
Wait, are you hinting at something here, Corey? Are you?
Maybe I might be hinting. No, I to be honest, I'm not shooting shit right now. I'm not on
COVID?
the set.
You mean COVID time because of COVID?
Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to shoot again. I have a studio. I've got a giant studio. We rent it out, but it's minimal crews. So like 2 people, 3 people, they have to get tested before. We have to scrub it down and we pick a path. So this hallway to this room, and this room, those are open. Everything else is closed. It's locked and it gets scrubbed, right before, right after. If that has to happen, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe leaving my house right now. I haven't eaten out with the exception of this weekend because I left my house for a weekend to go to my business partner and friend's place where they've stayed away. I quarantined for a week before going out. I haven't eaten anything that I haven't cooked since March, first week of March. Wow. They ordered pizza and they got like Wendy's and I took the chance, but I don't trust anything right now.
You should watch our last episode. Maybe that'll help because
I think I will.
Like transmission from food and even food handling was, I guess, it's low. It's very low.
I feel
are low.
like,
But
can it all be tested though? And
Oh,
do
I
you
mean,
know where
there
everybody gets it from?
yeah, there's probably a small chance, I guess, but for the most part, it seemed like that's the easy part.
My wife
like
said so, but
yeah.
I'm it's so weird. It's like
Yeah.
it's just, I think because when I was a kid, I worked at like Subways, and I know friends that worked in fast food joints, and I know that I didn't give a shit, So I know that with my luck, I'm gonna get somebody that doesn't give a shit putting my food together, and I'd rather cook, at that
Yeah.
point. I'm just
Well,
like,
you're in Vegas, just leave it, just take that food, put it outside for like a minute.
it'll die.
Yeah.
To be
It'll
fair, if I put it outside, the scorpions will eat it first.
So I'm curious, you've got all these parodies and there's some funny names. Like, that's all you? Is that you doing that?
I mean, I have a team.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed. So I started by working for New Sensations and other studios. And at the time, the lawyers there named them. They're like, we don't want to get sued. What's the safest possible thing? So everything, when I started, ours were the name of the thing we're parodying hyphen a triple X parody. So the Big Lebowski hyphen a triple X parody. Seinfeld, the triple X parody. The Office, a triple X parody. Everything was like that. So by the time I left and I started this company, and my lawyers are amazing now. They're the best. And they gave me some good advice. And that was, if you parody something and it's a clear parody, you'll win a court case. You can't stop people from suing you, but you'll win. And the title is a parody. It's a title. It goes into it. The movie itself is the thing we're parodying, and I went hog wild on what we named. And we have a good time doing it. I'm gonna say sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes there's things that were already named similar things, and because I want mainstream media to pick it up, it's a big source of our traffic. I can't always use the word dick or fuck or the things my go-tos. So I have to be almost PG-13 dirty when I do it. So yeah, myself and my team will throw things out. Sometimes it'll take us a minute, and sometimes I remember the mighty Morphin Power Rangers parody.
Right.
It took forever to come up with, and the Teenage Mutant. So that one was still simple and stupid. Like, you'll sit back. This is how you know I'm not an artist. It's just mighty. It took like 2 weeks to come up with Mighty Muffin Pounder Rangers. Like, it's but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also took a long time, and it's my favorite title that we came up with, and that's 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles. And maybe there's an art to that. So I'll take that one. But yeah, my favorite parts, honestly, are the title and cutting the trailer. Those are my two favorite things.
So how much are you getting sued, or is that still happening then?
No, I've been threatened.
Like Nickelodeon?
No. And I'm gonna say, I think part of it is, it's a parody. I make sure our stuff's parody. So
right.
My lawyers are pretty confident we would win a court case.
Yeah, but still, I think that some of these places just want to sue people.
I think that it's harder for them to have their name in an article with the word porn than it is, so if Disney sues us, there's Disney and porn in the same title of a thing. There's Nickelodeon and porn in the same sentence.
And you'll make sure that happens, right?
Damn right. I'm going to tell you a perfect example. Okay. So when I was at New Sensations, I produced a movie for director Sam Hain, and it was an X-Files parody. And we were calling it the X-Files, a Triple X parody. And Fox sent us a cease and desist letter. And that cease and desist letter was super official. It said, you may not use the X-Files as a title. You may not use Mulder and Scully as names. And you don't ever think about X-Men. They knew there's an X in it. We're going after it. So they warned us, and we did it. We called it the Sex Files. We thought it was a better name, anyways. We kept Mulder and Scully, and we didn't touch X-Men. We did a couple scenes later, but they're not really an X-Men parody. But we put out a press release when they sent it, and when we put out the movie, and it must have sold, when we were selling DVDs, an extra, $500,000 worth of DVDs. So they helped us more than they hurt us. And the thing is, though, we are always prepared to go to court. That's the thing. I know it can happen. My partners know it can happen. We have some of the best First Amendment lawyers in the country. So it will be expensive, but we're willing to pay the price for free speech. So yeah, I'm confident. I stand behind our stuff. I'm ready to go to court if we have to. Hopefully they don't, because they'll know in advance, A, we'll use it to our advantage for exploitation, to sell a couple more copies. But, B, they are going to be listed with, porn. So Fox porn, Disney porn, whatever it is. And then on top of that, there's a chance we'll win. There are people that have lost in the past, but they haven't concentrated on making parodies. They're doing like, here's some fan fiction, or here's, just a porno spin on the story. Ours are parodies. We make sure of it. So,
Yay parodies.
What's that?
Yay parodies.
Yay parodies. Yes. Yeah. We're doing Luke's Bears next.
Yes.
Don't sue us.
I have to be a part of the project for it to work out, Corey. You seem to get a lot of mainstream, like modern mainstream kind of coverage, like was it like BuzzFeed? You show up a lot on BuzzFeed. I forwarded you stuff that like is apparently old news to you.
Well, I mean, my job is 50%, making porn, 50% tracking who's writing about it. So again, everything is about traffic nowadays. So I just need to see who's promoting it, who's doing that. And luckily we make some stuff that's weird enough that people pick up.
I'm curious about the Ask a Porn Star stuff. It's actually one of my favorite things that you've created. Like I've watched almost all of them. They're on YouTube, and they are. I mean, it's adult content, but it's not like nudity or anything, and it's just very honest questions about what it's like being a porn star or a sex worker, and you get like all like responses that are across the board. Like, are you recording these specifically for this? Like are you bringing people in, or?
Yeah. So when we started Wood Rocket, so in I think we started working on it in 2011. Our like official hard launch was like 2013 in January. When we started, we had to find our way for the first couple years. So our goal was, hey, how do we do a tube site with original content, no piracy allowed on it, really try and do it. And we started to do it, and the cost was astronomical, and to keep up with the other guys, with our competitors, where they had at the time, 50,000 scenes or whatever, it's hard to compete with that. So we thought, okay, what do we do well? What do we do that makes us stand out? And we thought, okay, parodies for sure. Let's do parodies. Let's do the stuff we're known for. But something we used to do when we were putting out DVDs is the BTS, so behind the scenes. So, like everybody else, you try to fill up DVDs with interviews, with bloopers, with trailers, with all that stuff, right? Cheap stuff you can get while you're on set. And so we thought, let's do that. We have a lot of it already. Let's do it. And then we started going, well, what if we did this different? What if we did it? We have a good relationship with a lot of people. Again, we're people that have fun on set. People know that when they come to our sets, we're honest. We're not harassing anybody. We're trying to have a good time, and we're trying to make something that we all are happy about having done in the end. So people open up, and the conversations behind the scenes are real life. Hey, you're my friend, and not, hey, you do porno. But at the same time, this is our job. So just like when you guys have conversations about, a paintbrush or a show, or it happens, that kind of, or I ran into this artist, or it's part of your life, also, but it's more honest and it's more open. When you do an interview for a porn DVD or for mainstream media, you're in that mode. You're in porn mode. So we call it porno mode. Oh, me? No, I was a virgin and now I'm a whore. That's like the stuff, it's done over and over, and you say the same things, and it's not what anybody get. The stuff behind the scene, the real behind the scenes, is what people don't get a glimpse of. And that's like, oh, you're doing this before anal, don't do that. Like, that's, don't do that. And, oh, you're new to a set, don't do that. Or, oh, this crazy shit happened to me here. Or, what's your favorite band? Do you believe in ghosts? Like, real across the board, right? So we thought, what if we asked honest questions, mix in some crazy funny questions, and do it like that? And we started to do it. And we launched a site with a different version of it. We launched a site with one porn performer answering 5 to 10 different questions in one interview. And nobody watched it. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody seen them. They were okay, but it didn't click. Cut to 2013, I think, we had a guy from Uproxx, Vince Mancini from Uproxx, come out to AVN, and
what's Uproxx?
Uproxx is a giant blog. It's a huge website, mainstream, and he does the film reviews and things like that. It's okay. There's a lot out there, right? But he came in and he was following us around, and he wrote an article on going to the AVNs, and super nice, got along with him really, really well. I like him very much. And we were talking, and I said, you have any suggestions for questions? Before we even started doing the questions. And he said, what if you ask all of them about Deflategate? It's when Deflategate happened in football.
Yeah.
Where, they shrunk the ball. They let some air lose the ball easier to
So then
catch.
the quarterback can grip that ball more and just really control it.
Right, exactly.
Throw it better, yeah.
So we did it, and it got me thinking, well, what am I doing it the old way of nobody's wife? What if we do it, we ask all of them the same question, and we cut them together, and we jump cut them. And Luke, you said it. I mean, we do this. This is our frame, sometimes it's a little wider, but I want people, even though sometimes there's some cleavage or some other stuff.
Yeah, usually like sometimes you have to blur out the boobs and stuff.
Right. Yeah, but I want people to see the people that I'm friends with as human. So I'm asking human questions, and I'm asking them to treat it like a regular job, and I'm asking for honesty. They can skip any questions they don't want to answer. but I will sit down and I will be behind the camera. Sometimes somebody else, like we have other people shooting it, the same questions. But I ask them to be behind the camera. They look at the camera and they give honest answers. And then we will ask follow ups to make sure. So if they say something that I know somebody doesn't know outside of it. So I'll give you an example. They may say, we may say, what's it like to go to a set daily? And they'll be like, well, I'll get the set and I'll do my girly stuff. And you'd have no idea what that is. And I have to think like somebody who's never been on a porn set before, doesn't know the terminology. So I go, okay, can you explain what girly stuff is after they're done answering the questions? And I'll cut that in. And so just so you know, girly stuff is the hygiene stuff they do before. So it's douching, it's enemas if they're doing an anal scene, it's all that stuff. They go to the bathroom and they clean up basically before a scene. So I'm trying to think of how to teach people that watch a lot of porn or watch some porn, you know, because so many people are watching it, that there's humans behind this and we have a sense of humor about what we do. And it's also a job, so it makes it weirder, and we see that. So I'm trying to combine all of it. So I think it comes out more of a comedy when it's cut together, and I cut it so that it's funny.
Oh, it's funny. It's
yeah, and
funny.
Once in a while it can't be. So there's one episode that was not funny, and it went viral. A lot of people watched it, which was porn stars read their hate mail. And it's not like Jimmy Kimmel, and it's not like that because it gets fucking dark. Wow. It is something that's just, you wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Wow.
You know, as so things like that I take seriously. I try to cut out the stuff that I know is good. If somebody says something also that I know they're not thinking it's going to harm them, I know it's going to come, if I think it's going to come back and bite them in the ass, I'll cut it out. And if an episode sucks, we put it aside. I don't use anything I think sucks, you know? So, yeah, I'm proud of that series. To be honest, I'm as proud of that as something I put in, as the work I put into a parody. You know, I like asking questions. I like interviewing people. And I think interviewing porn stars, because the insider part of me knows the stuff that they go through, some of it. But I'm going to tell you, every day I shoot one of these, and sometimes I'll shoot 4, 5, 6 in a day. Something always surprises me. There's always something I've never heard of. There's something that makes me gag a little. There's something that I'm just blown away by. Somebody will tell me a story. There was a day in this current season, I'm putting up some lost episodes right now that we had sitting around I never put up. But in our last season, there was a day that I shot 3 or 4 fetish performers. And the things they were telling me, there's one about eating dog food. There's one about being tied up and turned into a human piano. There's some crazy shit out there. Again, they know it's like weird. Not everything is weird to some people are just vanilla, and seeing this makes them go, oh, anal sex is above and beyond. This is like stuff above and beyond. The people doing it know that, even if it's their kink, they know that it's extraordinary. And I'll tell you how I know, because our most popular episodes, and I ask this almost every season, are, what's the weirdest scene you've done, or the craziest scene? And they always have an answer, and it's always a scene that they just do, you know, and it may be something they're into. They'll always start with, well, crazy for people watching, not for me, you know. So they know that it's extraordinary circumstances what they do. And I appreciate that they let people into the world. They don't have to be honest. They're they're not getting paid a lot of money to do this. In the beginning, when we do them at AVN, we weren't paying anybody anything. They were doing interviews, and now we pay a little. It's not a ton, we don't make any money off of these things. YouTube does not give us, we're not monetized on anything. We have a series of it on Amazon Prime. And let me tell you, the checks for $300 really roll in. So
Wow.
we don't make as much on revenue as we put into making them.
Right.
Wow.
But we like doing it. And I think it's helpful, and I think it's fun, and I like it. We do it. Maybe it's ego thing right now. I really like that people like it.
Why don't you monetize it?
Oh, first of all, even when we had it monetized. But as soon as you use the word porn or adult or XXX, they put you in the lowest monetization package. So
wow.
we would get, some had 10 million views, and I'd get $100.
Wow.
But now they've demonetized anything they deem not G rated. So, we just do it we have a lot of viewers on it, so I'm not going to screw them over. Eventually we'll do an Ask a Porn Star live or something like that. And, that'll make it worthwhile financially, but we have fun doing it. I really enjoy doing it. The same way you guys enjoy doing a podcast. This is my podcast. Right. I had a podcast. That's where I met Luke, by the way. There was a Wood Rocket podcast. But we stopped doing it years ago. And we've turned to Ask a Porn Star, so that's how I get my interviewing out.
Cool.
It is a great series. But I wanted to also ask you, like, one of the reasons like why I met you was because I think you started following me on Twitter or something like that.
Yeah. I'm a fan of your work. So, even before we're friends, I was a fan of your work.
Yeah. And I was I was checking out, like, when, because I don't have a lot of followers on Twitter. So when people follow me, like, I'll get like a notification. I'll check out, like, who they are. And it was like Leroy Myers, and I clicked on it, and like, it was, adult film producer. And I was just like, what? Like, this is like, a door opening to that David Cho lifestyle that, like, I think a lot of artists really want. And so we started like talking and became friends. But I was impressed by the fact that you work with a lot of different, like, professional artists, from comic book artists to even like myself or the Suck Lord. Your fandom, you're able to bring a lot of different elements, outside elements around your orbit. For like the Wood Rocket, like, you had Suck Lord do a figure, a series of figures that you sold at AVN last year.
Yeah, and we still have a couple on our site. But no, myself and Seth's Beard, who I've known since kindergarten. He helps run Wood Rocket. We're art fans. He was like a print fan, and I started with prints, but we've always both been into, like, the toys we had growing up, and that turned into vinyl toys and art toys. And then he got into prints and what's the website? Espresso Beans and those guys. And we made a lot of friends through there. I'm different. I mean, he likes it, art paintings, also things like that. I like the texture of a painting. I like to know the technique behind a painting. I like seeing what you can see in a painting that you can't see in a print, or in an art toy. There's something that I really love about that, so I'll stand and stare at a painting for a long time. So we're art fans. I'm sure there's people way more knowledgeable on certain things. so a lot of people I've met buying art, and lucky for me, a lot of artists like porn. So it's been a mutual thing, but I also see there's a lot of similarities in the two worlds. Um, there really is, and that's not saying there's a lot of artists in both worlds, but there's definitely a lot of similarities in how society treats you and how the job works and how the industries work and the things you have to deal with. Like, I remember you were dealing with piracy, for instance, with the shirts, and other things. And there's just, when we talk, even process wise, even though it's different, it's completely different at the end of the day, the outcomes are different. The creative process, I think there's a lot of similarities. It's just you're skilled and I make porn. So it's so as far as it goes though, I love art, and the fact that we, and my partner, my business partner, by the way. So I have a few business partners. They're more silent on a lot of the Wood Rocket stuff. They agree to stuff, but they let me run the management aspect of it. One of our friends who's really into art also. We all like have too much art for our houses. We constantly, we have, portfolios and, just under the bed, or we've got whatever. We've got, my garage is filled with art, my closets are filled with art. My walls were, until I started moving, and now they're down. But yeah, and it's a mix, because comics also, I'm a
Yeah, you
fan
were
of.
publishing a comic for a while.
It was, we published for some friends of ours. But I probably shouldn't say which ones, just, I don't want to get them in trouble. But it's yeah, we got into that world. I started becoming a fan of comics after that. When I was a kid, I read Spider-Man, I read whatever, but there were a lot of years I didn't read any comics. I got back into it after I got into art. But yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky. I get to work with artists. I find that when I talk to an artist, I'm interested in the art talk. When artists talk to me, they're interested in the porn thing. So there's a mutual conversation, and I like that. I'm glad I can bring something to the table, because I've always had a very big inferiority complex when talking to artists, because
Wow.
I always think, oh, not interested in what I do. And that goes for when I would talk to filmmakers. I also felt like I do very lowbrow shit. And I think even in the art world, what's called lowbrow is like up here. What I do is like actual lowbrow stuff. So it's hard. It was always kind of a fight, so when somebody talks to me, an artist talks to me or whatever, and we talk, I mean, I hope it works. And usually after time, I'm like, I'll let it go. And I'm like, oh, we do get along. We are friends. But I'm very fortunate that I think people see what we do more as a weird, a weird art thing or a weird pop culture thing. And, I think it helps artists like go, oh, I can do work with that. We've had artists that I respect above and beyond, um, hang out with us, including yourself, and work with us and want to work with us. I
Yeah.
get hit up for people wanting to work with us now, and it's but yeah, I mean, some people, it's a little harder because their art doesn't fit into what we do exactly, and it would really be a stretch.
Mhm.
But I mean, and to be honest, ever since I got into, we sell a lot of enamel pins. We sell a lot of
Cool.
adult coloring books. We sell earrings. We sell, apparel. Um, it's made me feel closer to my artist friends who do that to survive, and my gallery friends who do that because, selling paintings doesn't happen constantly.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a meshing of the worlds, and the fact
I
that I
think it's
get
a
to work with
fringe
people and be
culture.
friends with people I'm friends with, that
Mhm.
makes it all worth it, you know?
That's
Right.
cool.
I think it's a bit of a fringe culture kind of thing. Like, like there's a lot of artists, obviously around the world, but artists are not A-list celebrities, right? Like you take
And
a
they should
Kanye,
be. So that's the thing. In my eyes,
but
I'm never as starstruck. I've had celebrities come to set. I've had celebrities offered to write shit, and
Oh yeah, like who?
I can't say. That's the thing.
So, so
I
Robert De Niro came to your set? Oh,
no, some other people
was he?
have though, and but I'm gonna
Matthew
say,
McConaughey came to your set? What was he doing there?
but I'll tell you what, I'm never as starstruck as when I meet an artist that I'm inspired by, or whose art I love. Like to me, is that like there's just so many big artists, and you said it. It's still weird to me when I look at Twitter. Twitter, I think, is the least friendly to artists. I mean, obviously, Instagram is where you guys get a lot of viewers,
Mhm.
but I'm always amazed that I have like more followers than an artist who I know is much bigger than I am. Like that's. I think Twitter's just as porn friendly a medium as you can get right now.
Oh, it is.
Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, but no, man, it's always like weird for me to meet artists and hang out with artists because no matter how big of friends we are, when you talk about your art, I'm always kind of caught up in it, and I'm always kind of blown
Yeah,
away.
but the thing is what I think what I'm saying is that like the our artists are like even like the biggest artists like Cause, right? Like or like
Bill Cosby, yes.
or no, just Cause
I'm just kidding.
Cause One or whatever. Like
Yeah,
yeah, he's huge in the art scene, but like if you drop him in the middle of non-art a non-art world, he's nothing.
but there
He
are
might have done
some.
he might have done something that maybe like one out of like 100 people, has, or 300, one out of, yeah, one out of 100 people have like seen like, oh yeah, you're
That's
the
pretty. That's actually pretty good, knowing there's 7 billion or 8 billion people in the world. That's a lot of
I was
people
only
seeing his
thinking of the
stuff.
United States. I wasn't thinking.
There's like there's so many who have seen his stuff now. We're talking
But
like, I'm just kidding.
but it's hard for, I think, in this world you have to use the phrase going viral, right? I don't even know if it's really a phrase anymore, but it's weird because a photo can go viral, a meme can go viral, a show can go viral, an art piece, if it's got Donald Trump flexing and he's got huge muscles, can go viral out of campiness. But yeah, you put a Mark Ryden thing up there, people may know, and people pay how much for his stuff, and same with English and all these guys, but English is best known probably for Super Size Me.
Right.
Like
Mhm.
there's something where it takes getting out of the art world to become famous.
So like Baseman doing a Cranium box might have got
Right.
more people know. They'll go, oh, he's the Cranium guy. But
Right.
that's probably it may end there.
And then the different art
Unfortunately.
because he did
Yeah.
Coach, right? So
Yeah.
he did a Coach
Maybe.
thing. So that's one of those things though that
So
it's
Luke Chu is the Fallout Boy cover guy.
Yes.
That is, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
That's my most
that's
thing. Yeah.
But do you embrace that?
Yeah.
I know the answer, but like we're talking for people. So do you embrace that, or does that suck?
It only because the story behind the painting is tightly associated with an experience I had with the band or with Pete Wentz. So like I'm proud of that piece, but and it's a funny story. I could tell it right now. I could tell it really quick if you want to hear
I'd like
it.
to know.
I don't know
Yeah.
that I've ever shared this story on
Good.
the podcast, but basically like I went to an art show with Pete Wentz and the lead singer of Gym Class Heroes was doing at Gallery 1988, And at the time, Pete Wentz was engaged to that one movie star. I can't remember her name, but I was walking around the show. I hadn't met them yet. I haven't met Pete Wentz yet, but like I remember walking around and noticing like this. There were so many people, like all these dudes dressed up in like emo gear, freaking like that looked like Pete Wentz. Like it was a gallery
Wow.
full of alternatots and wannabe Pete Wentzes. And then I finally met him and we talked, and he was a really nice guy and really like, really cool, just a good guy. And I took that experience, I was thinking to myself, like, there's just so many people that are emulating his look, but like probably know nothing about the guy in his personal life. And so if you look at the painting I did, it's basically a boy in a bear costume carrying a wild bear. And it's kind of the way I perceived that experience. It's a whole bunch of people in Pete Wentz costumes, trying to carry a Pete Wentz. And so I just kind of tweaked it to be like that. And then the name of the album sleeve, the album Folie à Deux, which is like the madness between two or something like that, is like just kind of wrapped it all together with a bow.
Wow.
And I also did the typography for the album sleeve, and it's about idol worship. The cover is about idol worship, and and so I'm it couldn't have been done for a better example of a band. The funny thing is that I was never given a copy of the album. I've never heard any songs off of the album, and I I can like probably speak from like the little bits and pieces that I've heard. They're probably not a band that
They're not for you.
would care for. It did bring on some kind of drums between other bands that I had turned down doing our work for.
Wait, who did you turn down?
I'm not going to say.
Oh,
but
come on.
Wait, was it Matthew McConaughey?
Or Robert De Niro?
Robert De Niro?
His band?
Bring that
Oh.
back.
It was both of them. They had a band. But
So you passed on Nine Inch Nails, and it's too
I
bad.
would not pass. I would not
You
pass
passed.
on Nine
Oh.
Inch Nails. That's a band.
He's putting it out there, by the way. Nine Inch Nails.
But the thing is that I was enchanted by the number that they were telling me, like the initial release was going to have 1 million, and
Wow.
like before that I've never had 1 million releases of anything.
Can I ask you something? So you did it as a painting, right?
Mhm.
Is it too bright? Am I getting too bright on
No,
here? Am I okay?
You're
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So do you keep the painting, or do you give it to the band or their label, or
I sold them the painting and the rights to the painting.
Okay. So they
Wow.
got it.
So they
That's
make
good.
T-shirts and stuff like that then, right?
I did not allow them to make t-shirts.
Good for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I gave them the rights to use it as an album sleeve, and that was it.
He's like,
And-
I'll
they
give you the
wanted-
rights after I listen to this album.
No, I would have been okay with selling them the rights to do t-shirts and other ephemera, but I would want to be paid for that.
Of course.
So,
Yeah. Oh, they don't want to. They weren't doing that.
yeah, they weren't doing that. So
Oh.
it's like,
That's crazy. That is like when you're a giant band.
You would
like,
think. I mean, you're going on tour. This is the album. There's the art in the album. A T-shirt with the album art is a no-brainer, right?
I did buy bootleg versions of that t-shirt though.
Oh, that's cool.
I found it on one of those like digital t-shirt printing companies that and like someone had like trimmed the artwork out and put it on a
Wow.
shirt.
like Redbubble or one of those dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Speaking of piracy, we're going backwards a little bit. You mentioned these tube sites. Do you have to work with them, or if you don't, do they just pirate your stuff?
Okay, this is a complex question, and
No,
I'll give you my honest answer. Um, it's here's the thing. I may be different than everybody else. Originally, yes, there's some like piracy helped bring down studios. Like they helped take them
Right.
down. There's
Is
no
that like
business model.
wait, is that those red? What's it called? Red tubes or
Yeah,
porn
one of
hubs
them. There were
and
probably about
like
20
10?
or 30.
Oh, there's that many? Oh,
Maybe even more. You know, they were everywhere. And the thing about it is, that there's no governing body that's going to really go after people pirating porn. So it's one of those things where it's a tough one. So it happened. And again, in my head, I go, well, YouTube can do it. I don't know that I have as hard feelings. Maybe we just have to adapt. You know, if it's not illegal, I don't know that I can hate it. And for being a part of an industry that was built by the mob, you know, it's really a tough one. A lot of gray area here. But over the years, what has happened is, as they've become the most watched guys, they've made it easier to take down your porn, to complain about somebody putting up. And it's not like the studios were like all nice and clean and cool and easy to deal with before. They didn't make it any easier for people to feel bad for them, a lot of them, as this shit happened. But I think evolution took hold, and, you know, I would call Pornhub a tube site, and yet it's the most watched porn platform in the world. And I think they're doing it right. I mean, again, there will be things people call them out for. I can't speak for those things. I can't. I don't run the company. I do, you know, but out of everybody, they're the only company when Black Lives Matter happened, you know, as a movement and really pushed. They're the only people I spoke to that were like, oh, we're going to set a program up and we're going to train. We discussed pushing a program forward, that a fund for people of color in the industry, physically giving them, you know, parodies and movies to do, and a training program. And that's still moving forward. They're the first people. Now, I know you can't say this is good, this is bad, but if somebody pirates my stuff, I contact them, they take it down. There's a program where they take it down, they move it over to your account, and you get paid the money that those people would have gotten paid. It's you know, it's hard to argue that the tube sites now are the bad guys, you know.
And there's literally 20.
There's probably more now. There's probably like
Wow.
There's 20. I'm going to tell you, there's probably 20 in the top 50 viewed websites on Earth. You know,
Right. And those never make it into any list, except for
right.
They don't tell you that stuff.
No,
they'll
not
say
at all.
they'll say Reddit is number 5 in the world, and you know, whatever. Right?
Some of the lists have it. You know, I mean,
They
look,
do. Okay.
Pornhub's got to be in. Like, I believe in the top 10. There's probably like 2 or 3.
Right.
You know,
who's running these sites, by the way? Are these like corporations, and you know, are these like basically like the guy, you know, the owner of Reddit, that type of a guy, or are these are these like kids, smart kids type of thing?
I think at the time when they started, they were. I think they've evolved to giant corporations, and
right.
I don't know where the money's from, or where, you know, I don't know if there's angel investors, or there's, you know, I'm not 100% sure, but these are smart people.
So these aren't. It's not like Russian.
I'm sure there's some. Don't get me wrong, but the people
right.
I deal with. So MindGeek is a company I deal with. I deal with Pornhub specifically. Right. I haven't really dealt with people outside of them lately, but Pornhub is, you know, they have a few offices, but when I talk to them, they're a lot of analysts. There's a lot of business people. There's bureaucracy, you know, it's sure. It's a business. They have a lot of employees. They have, you know, this section of writers, and these people running merch, and these people running that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to close that. Give me 1 second.
Go for it.
Yeah,
probably Pornhub is probably as boring as can be in the offices. It's
Oh, I
probably what
bet.
yeah,
It probably is.
it'd probably
They're
look like
probably
you.
like
Yeah.
they probably even have a section because, like, imagine like how many uploads,
Sorry,
like,
sun's beating down on me.
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, it's
We're just saying Pornhub offices are probably as boring as can be.
I mean, I think when I've seen it, first, nice building, everybody is super nice. Like,
Wait, where are they? Are they in Vegas?
no.
Are they Silicon Valley?
They're all over. One of their main offices is in Montreal.
Okay.
And I've been to that one, and it's people. When I worked as a TV executive and I worked in programming, it reminded me a lot of that. Like, a lot of people in button-down shirts walking through and slacks, walking past security, you buzz in, and
Yeah.
they go for lunch breaks, and they know their shit. That's the thing, is
Yeah. Of
they
course.
their business just happens to be porn.
Yeah. It's no
So
it's a
different.
business.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a business like anything else.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But
So where's the sloppy part of porn at? Like, where's that?
so what do you mean?
We've talked a lot about like this great, like, a corporate structure and your business clean. Where's the shitty porn at? Like, does that still
it's
exist?
everywhere.
Does that still
It's-
exist?
Yeah, it still exists. And I think,
That doesn't fall through the cracks into like nothingness type of
again,
thing.
I think so in the 90s and 2000s, it really became business. A
see.
lot of CEOs that went to Wharton, and they graduated with business degrees, and they really launched a company expecting to be publicly traded.
Wow, that's crazy.
And a lot of them got very close, and maybe there's some that did make it. The sex toys company, same thing. But then membership sites started happening, and I think that was a lot of like young people in Florida or wherever, where they could just shoot cheap and do whatever.
Oh, you mean they just make their own websites and start their
Yeah.
own production companies, whatever it is?
And that's where I started when I started
Yeah.
in porn. Like, so I started there too. I understand. And it was just me on like a few $1,000s trying
you had
to
a web,
figure it out.
so you had a website, and then people became members of that website.
Nobody became members, which is why I
see.
had to drop those websites. But yes,
Okay.
yes, I had websites. I had some members, but not enough. I didn't know enough about traffic.
I see.
Sending traffic to places, especially then. That was in the 90s.
Right.
But they started there. It started kind of, then it went to like, here's people in Florida and here's people in LA.
The Florida, that's Kimbo Slice people.
Right. Yes.
Right?
And
What's
they
that?
became business later
Kimbo
when
Slice
they
was he was an MMA fighter, but he was associated with a
Reality Kings.
some porno thing, and
Yeah.
they were managing him and stuff like that.
Yeah, they sponsored him. He passed away a little while ago, but he was like, he'd have a Reality Kings thing on his pants, and he did a lot of promos for them. So what happened was there were like studio system, mainly Chatsworth, Porn Valley. Then what happened was the membership site started happening. Then it expanded to Florida, and then you had Florida, which is more amateurs and reality sites. And then you had Studio System, more features and gonzo. And then these guys started buying up these guys. These guys started becoming businesses and vice versa. And then all of a sudden, tube sites start popping up and clip stores and cam modeling. And the thing about there was they're small companies or they're hidden companies, so they could go anywhere. So the reason people had California as their headquarters was because it was essentially, there's a loophole in the system that makes it not illegal to shoot there. Everywhere else, with the exception of New Hampshire, doesn't have that loophole. Florida didn't frown on it, raised on Girls Gone Wild out there. They kind of said, okay, and they're Florida. So they kind of just let it happen and only stepped in when they had to. And then the internet really brought about all these little guys. And there were people here and people in Canada and people in Russia and people in Prague. And it grew out of that and it expanded everywhere. And then when those guys grew and they joined up with the studios and they joined up with the Florida guys. So they still kind of became based everywhere. But then cam modeling and clip stores and tube sites made it so people would do it from home. And what happened was small businesses could be anywhere in people's living rooms, in their bedrooms, in their basements. So it started kind of expanding. And then that free porn, a lot of it killed off the studio system, killed off the membership system.
So is Vivid still in business?
They sold the company as far as I know. They haven't done anything. And it's a weird one because we're in this place where everybody knows like OnlyFans now, which is a clip store membership. It's just a reinvention of membership sites. Here's the problem I see. The tube sites, as they're not the bad guys now, they set the precedence of porn should be free. A lot of people don't ever want to pay for porn. The people that pay for porn die out. They physically die, or they go, I don't have the extra cash. I'm going to do it this month. And then 1 month becomes 2 months and 2 months becomes 3. I believe eventually everybody will, pay for your porn is a hope. And I think that every new system that seems great right now is going to become an outdated system eventually in porn, because there's nobody saying piracy is illegal for porn. And that's a huge problem, but it's what's happened. And so it's going to be hard to find a couple places that survive. So I believe the paid places are fads now. That's my opinion. Everybody will tell me otherwise, but
right. Like do people like who actually pays for premium on Pornhub?
Not as many people as watch it for free. That's always going to be the problem.
Wait, this is going to be a dumb question. What's the difference? If you're watching porn, what's premium?
Premium?
Like, is that where you get the doo-doo videos and stuff like that?
No. Because they still have,
darn.
You can't upload certain things. And if they catch it, they pull it down, So, but
Luke was about to start putting money down if there was doo-doo.
Yeah.
Gotta get that doo-doo porn.
That's in the German version.
Okay. Or Japanese.
Das Pornhub.
Oh, Japanese.
But
Pornhub.
But there's like higher. You can't get 4K on regular. I mean, maybe it's changed, but last check, you can't get 4K.
That's the difference.
It was HD for a while. You could only get SD for a while. Certain things like we used to upload a longer version of our parodies to premium. So that was behind a paywall. You get like 10 minutes shorter per scene on that. Some people will just put up teasers, and on premium they do it this way,
you have to be an aficionado. Like it's actually very I
think so. I don't.
Yeah, you have to be really into it.
But I think if you want like higher quality, like things like that, it's there. But if you're just looking to get off, I think people just tend to go there. Again, I'm not saying it's the right thing. I would love it if everybody paid for porn, but I'm a realist and I've been at it a long time. And I know that if you give people stuff for free and you don't tell them it's wrong to have it for free, and there's a couple of people going, hey, it's wrong, but they're not reaching everybody. The majority of people are going like, hey, I want to watch it for free. Or a comedian says it as a joke on TV. More people are going to go, yeah, that guy watches it. I can talk about it. It's just one of those things. I
guess, but it is free then, right? Literally. It's
theirs is. Yeah, people still sell it. I mean, they still have membership sites. Right. They still have premium sections. Camming, for instance, which is a more interactive version and live version, that's not always free.
Right.
But some of these sites are giving a lot away for free. So it's going to be hard to take it away from people after. Right. Every time you do that, it takes it away. That's why Wood Rocket, when we launched, we're like, we got to figure out how to make money some other way on this because it has to be free to compete. There's no
Wow.
way to give it. We can't sell. When I started in DVDs and DVDs were making a bit of a comeback, there was a lot of money in DVDs. There was a lot of money in membership sites. There's no, if you sell 300 DVDs, consider yourself lucky now.
Wow.
You know, and that goes for the last like 10 years. Like if you
No.
sell, you could see it going from tens of thousands of DVDs to 1,000 DVDs.
Wait, what about
500.
isn't there any kind of like how LPs are kind of back and cassettes are kind of cool? For porn, there's nothing. There's no like, oh, the VHS. You gotta.
You don't have the.
You're not gonna release it on VHS.
There's no porn hipster mentality. You know,
Okay.
there's no.
Okay.
There's not
Shoot.
a coolness to it. I mean,
I was like, make a Super 8 box. You know.
Yeah.
There were some people, by the way, like I think really did a good job of making their porn cool. People like Burning Angel, who had a lot of the tattooed performers in the beginning. But it's not that club anymore. You know, it used to be like a club. And Wood Rocket, we kind of treat it like that.
Yours sounds like the cool one now to me.
I think of us as the cool kids. I don't, you know, we do what we want. We're not just about the set. We sell enamel pins and things, you know. I think we do
on Etsy?
zines. Yes, actually our store is on Etsy.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
We did Etsy way before we did Amazon and way before we sell the regular stores, like the adult stores.
Awesome.
But you know, I think to know us and to talk to us, I think we're the cool. I mean, everybody thinks of the cool kid, but I like to think of us as the cool kids, you know. We're doing stuff that I think when I was a kid, I watched trauma movies, you know.
Right.
I loved like Toxic Event. I love that world. You know, I loved like getting the Trauma magazine and I loved, you know, reading it and I love being a part of that. I see Wood Rocket as kind of that. I wish we did it more and maybe this year is the year we do like a Wood Rocket club, you know, as things kind of thin out in one area, we're evolving. So I spoke to a friend of mine, Igor Smith. He's a photographer. He does zines. He does all sorts of things. He shoots for everybody from Hustler to Rolling Stone to Vice. And he's done some stuff for us. And we've talked a lot about putting out a zine or things like that. We've talked about
cool kids. You're going to be at a zine fest next.
See, but I mean, but my brain is artist brain also, like art collector brain, where I'm like, fuck that. I want a Taschen book, you know, like, so I don't know what we do. So we kind of just wing it. And maybe that makes us not cool kids because we only wing it. You know, we aren't very good at planning.
Would you ever make a non-porno movie or non-adult movie and just make a movie?
Yeah.
That's not adult, I guess.
Yes. We've helped put together a horror film that's coming up. I don't know if they want us to talk about it. So maybe I don't, I use my real name on some of it, but,
your name's not Lee?
It's not, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of nicknames, so you know, shithead, fuckface, stop doing that, you ruined my childhood. But you know, it's one of those things. So we had something. We were doing something. We have a YouTube channel that we haven't updated in forever. We tried it and we used a lot of people from the Wood Rocket team, and it was called Nidoka. And we tried a lot more art things and a lot more fun things. We had like something called overreactions, which are reaction videos to the maximum degree. So watching Silence of the Lambs while wearing a straitjacket, and watching Blair Witch Project in the woods at midnight in the middle of nowhere, and things like that. And we do a lot of weird, fun YouTube-y things. But I'm trying to think we were gonna produce a cartoon. That was we had an animated thing. We did an Indiegogo for it. We had some people attached. There were other people attached to do it on the mainstream side, so it wouldn't be Leroy Myers. It would be we'd separate it, right?
You don't even. What's your? Do you let people know your real name?
Only friends.
Oh.
It's gotten out there. People have said it. I don't mind if it gets said here and there. It's not like end of the world. It's not like,
Oh,
you know.
all right, Hector. Hector,
right,
we won't tell anyone. Hector,
yeah. But it's we had a lot of people involved. We even had a lot of artists involved in the beginning. We were gonna do. I don't know if Luke was involved at the beginning. I think you were.
I did a Unico episode.
Yeah. Oh no, but the animated thing, Fightnator.
No,
Probably not. You were on a hiatus at the time, if I remember correctly.
maybe.
But Travis Louis was going to do like a frame. It was going to be still frames for the opening sequence, and we do prints. So we were going to do. Travis Louis was doing. Gary Texali was doing some, and some friends like NC Winters and people like that. We talked to a few different people doing different things for it, and we had like some stars, some comedians, and some athletes involved in it, and we didn't raise enough money to do shit. So what happened was we said it sat a long time, and I had started thinking, let's do some mainstream things, and we did a pilot for a TV show with a comic with Brendan Graham, who does comic books for Image Comics, and he's done a few of those, and he's a friend, and so we did a pilot for a sci-fi series, and that made me think, what if we try doing this on the opposite side? What if we make it a porno cartoon where you can cut the porn out of it and it has mainstream people involved? So I took it to Pornhub, who are my partners on a lot of production stuff. And so we're working on it now as a mainstream porno thing where we'll cut the porn out and it'll be an R-rated cartoon series. And it's called Fightnator, and it's got a bunch of people involved, and we're almost done that. And once that's done, to be honest, I've fallen in love with doing animation, and the fact that I don't have to go out is real great, and film people. But I really love it. I would consider doing that and some horror films and things like that. Fun stuff. Again, I don't want to do. I've been offered movies before, mainstream movies before. Aside from parodies, I've done like Harlequin looking romance things at the beginning of my career, and people like that. And I got offered like dramatic roles, and later on I've pitched things and I've had things offered, and I never walk away feeling good about what I'm offered. So if I'm doing them, it's one thing. If I'm doing stuff with friends, it's one thing. I don't have to do a movie, and I've gotten a lot of my creative energy that was pent up out with the porn. And when I write a script, I can be.
That's a great one line right there. I love it.
I get it all out, and I don't feel unfulfilled in any way. So I'll do one if one comes along. Hopefully we can make one happen. Again, we'll see what the next year brings. We're going to be by country. I'm Canadian. So we're expanding into Canada next month.
Awesome.
So we're going to.
Is that where you're moving? Cause you said you're moving. You're moving to Canada?
So we're going to have an apartment in Vegas. We may open up something in California again next year if things calm down with COVID, and if Trump leaves office. And but going to Canada, my hometown, going back where I can live in a place which isn't a shitty tiny place now, and be able to expand and think things through and do things well. And even if it's porn, I'm happy to go back somewhat successful. I have a successful business, and I'm not embarrassed by the things I do, even though I use a fake name. But I'm happy to kind of go back and,
awesome.
Get all the other shit that's happening in the States out of my head. concentrate on doing stuff. And they've got such a good film industry, and being Canadian, there's opportunities to get funding for things, and you know,
Even porn?
not porn, but
okay.
there were TV series out there that were about porn culture, following porn people around. And to be honest, I'd love to do Ask a Porn Star as a spinoff. I'd
That
love
sounds cool.
to me that would be fun. I
have a question. I have a question that's kind of, I guess, related.
Yeah.
And I guess that'd be my final question.
Can I ask some art questions next?
No.
Or?
Yeah. The next episode. No, but you mentioned Ask a Porn Star.
Yeah.
Is the concept of a porn star the same as it was before? Because to me, when I say
That's
porn
a very
star,
good question, by the way.
I'm still thinking Jenna Jameson.
Right.
Maybe Sasha Grey, because she became a star outside of porn as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think though. Like, I don't know anyone else. Like, like as a household name,
right?
Ron Jeremy, right? That's my next one. It's
maybe
like,
don't admit that to people, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like I don't really know. He's the only male porn star.
No, absolutely.
I know.
Look, there.
And these are older. This is older. I think they're somewhat older, right? Than
yeah. I mean, and it's the industry's evolved, the concept of porn stars evolved, and nobody will ever agree on what it means. Now, I'm going to tell you that we do the series, and I use porn performers. To me, a porn star is somebody that stars in porn. Simple.
Sure. Yeah.
To some porn stars, that it feels like gatekeeping, but I hear like, oh, you're not a porn star, you're not this. I don't like the gatekeeping of it. And part of me is saying fuck off to the gatekeepers, by calling everybody who stars in porn a porn star. Even if they appeared once, even if their answers aren't going to be so good if they appeared once. But, I believe a porn star is somebody who starred in porn, or even cams, which is a type of porn. I don't believe in the gatekeeping aspect, which is you have to be this and you have to be that. I just see it that way, and I think it's a title that anybody can and should hold. Does it mean anything anymore? I think back in the day, I think even back when Sasha Grey was doing it. Let me think here. I shot one of her last movies. She was in one of my parodies. And I liked her very much. She was very nice. I shot with her in probably 2010, maybe even 2009. She was in the Seinfeld parody. And she did a couple other things. She left after that. And, I think with her, maybe the porn star moniker lost some of its meaning. I think when you had to invest time in somebody, when you had to buy a DVD and the DVDs cost $30 a piece, or you had to buy a VHS and they cost a lot more than that, you had to invest money and time into. You had to know you liked somebody to invest in that, because if you bought it and you didn't like it, you couldn't just return it. They don't take back sticky tapes. So. But over the last, 10 years, maybe 15 years, it's become this thing where you don't have to become invested. And you can have a million different people in their basement. Again, there's clip stars, there's cam models, there's porn performers, there's everybody out there, right? Who knows, like, who to call what anymore? But you don't have to invest the time in it.
But is there ever like you wanting to actually go back to that and creating this star? It would be it sounds like a fun project almost. It's like behind the scenes, like, oh, I want to create the household name. Like, who's the next household name of adult cinema?
I like it. I think though, if there's still people that have that status, even like, I'll give you a great example. And she doesn't perform anymore, but she's still associated with porn. Asa Akira, perfect example. And she's in the cartoon we're doing. She did a voice for it. And honestly, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if she watches this, but one of my favorite people I've ever worked with in porn. She is the easiest going, like just super courteous. Like, again, sometimes you're stuck on a set and people, like, I've kept people on sets for hours and it sucks. I get it. But she's always been super kind. And
okay, well, she's still like, that's already like, she's been out of that industry, or is she in the industry still?
she's
I'm
still,
not sure, but
she works with Pornhub. So
but
she
she's
runs,
kind of old school, right? Like,
sort
to
of.
me,
I mean,
like,
she only left, like, it's not like she left a lot. She was in some of Wood Rocket's first.
but I mean,
scene.
she is a porn star from, like, I feel like an older era.
I don't think she became, I could be wrong, but I think like
I don't know.
the 2010s, like early 2008, 2009, she were really her growth years, I could say.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could have been a little earlier than that, but she's somebody who
maybe she's the last one I could even name.
there's
Asa Akira,
there's a
but
couple
that's like
out
old
there
school to
though.
me.
Like, do you know
There's more?
Riley
Okay.
Riley Reid? I think has a big following.
No, I don't know who that.
Again,
is.
these are people that I think they hit the last of the DVDs
Right.
and they carried over. Those are the last people that I think people that don't know people, they know these people.
Right.
And they know them from social media and they know them from this and that now, right? I think because they crossed over, Asa Akira was a big porn star. She became bigger with the David Cho show
Sure.
and
Yeah, the podcast
right?
and stuff like that.
But
yeah.
it
And
reaches
other things, yeah.
I think you need that now to be a porn star in bracket in quotations. But I don't know. I don't know if it means anything anymore.
Yeah.
I just consider everybody who's in porn a porn star. And again, if it doesn't, at least it pisses some people off. And, I just think, yeah, maybe it died out with the Jenna Jamesons and the Sasha Grays and maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Some people still think porn star. You go to a convention or when there were conventions way back in 2020 January, there are people there that would say you're a porn star,
Right.
But yeah, some people reflect on like Tara Patrick's one of the last porn stars.
Oh yeah, that's old school too.
Yeah, but
right. 15 years ago. Or
exactly.
Like
and she's still camming. She's still doing these
Wow.
things and she's got the following. And again, we worked with her she was on Ask a Porn Star and great. But yeah, I don't know. We work with, now that there's OnlyFans, Tabitha Stevens, good friends with her and her husband. And, she's a porn star, but the title isn't what it is. I don't know that it needs a title now.
Yeah.
I think there's so many different subgenres and sub platforms and medias, and they only show boobs. They don't show this. They're cosplay models. They're not.
I guess it's like that outside. It's like outside of porn, right? There's famous YouTubers that I don't even know who they are, and they get 10 million views or something like that on a video.
They're more popular
right?
than any of us.
Yeah, or
yeah.
Even I mean, people know who Joe Rogan is, but a lot of people don't know that he's one of the most successful comedians, right?
Right.
That world they don't know, but they know. Oh, and his podcast might be a top 5 podcast of all of them, right?
Well,
and it's people
you
don't even know
guys,
that.
though, I mean,
oh, we're gigantic.
No,
right?
no. But I mean,
Oh,
I'll give you it's maybe the perfect example. Juxtapose and all these things come out. Nobody's heard of a lot of people,
yeah.
right?
Back to that, yeah.
So, but who were the superstars of art at the time? There wasn't social media. Now the superstars are people that are only popular. Like some of them, it's just because of Instagram.
Sure.
So it's hard to say what everything's chaos now. And it's not just
the Wild
COVID.
West.
It is.
Wild
It
West,
really
yeah.
is. I don't know what anything is. Up is down, down is up, dogs and cats, Anyways, it's hard to say what anything is. I think the definition is the important part. The titles are shit.
Yeah.
As
they usually are.
And now everybody needs 3 or 4 revenue streams to survive anyways. So you could be an artist and a product, a merchandiser, and a comic book person, and this you could be anything. I don't know. I mean, look at you, but it's truth. Like Is
that
Giant
true.
Robot a magazine? I don't know if you do the magazine anymore, but
No,
but
we stopped when porn died. I guess
I'm
or
going to
whatever
tell you,
it
I
was.
love the magazine. When
Before-
that was one of my favorite. I would read
Thank you.
Juxtapose and Giant Robot, and that was basically it for me.
we weren't. Wait, I used to. Yeah, Giant Robot and Juxtapose the other way around.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
I would read them.
Juxtapose. No, Giant Robot and then Juxtapose.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just
yes.
kidding.
But it's you sell
Wait,
products.
I wasted a minute on that.
But you sell products.
Yeah,
you make
sure.
products.
Yeah, no, we
you're
do
a
everything.
gallery.
Yeah, all of it.
What
to.
are you? It's hard to say what you are. But one thing's for sure is I'm probably not an artist.
I'm not an artist either.
That's
so
probably
same,
the one
Same
thing.
here. Yeah.
And on that
same here.
note, guys, that
Yeah.
that was awesome.
We went way over time, but yeah.
Sorry about
Awesome.
that, guys.
No,
Loved
no, it was, no. Anyways, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thanks so much, man.
Oh, thank you, guys. This is an honor.
was amazing.
I mean,
That was
clearly it's an honor. And clearly he's lost his arm, but
I've been wanting you on this podcast for a while now, and you know, you're great. So thank you.
All right.
I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks. And wait, where do people find you? Woodrocket.com?
Woodrocket.com or go to Etsy and just search Woodrocket. Our store's there. We're on Amazon. And actually our products are in most stores. The YouTube channel. I don't know all the links. Our Pornhub channel, anywhere. You can
Always Woodrocket, right?
Yeah, always woodrocket.com. No problem.
Alrighty. All right.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.